Hello, my name is Hope from the platform of eSeniors.org. eSeniors is a non-for-profit organization that provides virtual companion for seniors from age 60 and above. Virtual companion is basically designed to support seniors who feel lonely and isolated from their communities, and this is done remotely through the usage of video chat technology. So I want to especially welcome you all to today's book reading section. We have been reading a book from Alice Agege titled The Unexpected Joy at Dawn. We have done several chapters, so we are going to be starting off from where we stop. Listen as I read. Knees sat tight lipped. They had not yet decided on what to do. Aaron and the carpenter were asleep. The car stopped and one of the passengers asked the driver to open the boot for him. When the driver got out of the car, Neil walked to him to plead. The fare was 24 naira for the three of them. The older passenger had collected his bag and was walking to the driver to pay his fare. The driver refused to accept the 21 naira. It was during the course of the arrangement that a passenger came to their aid and offered to pay the differences. But the driver had decided that he was not collecting it. Neil limped to the young man. "Hi," he said. "Thanks a lot." The benevolent passenger raised a clenched fist. He tried to move his three bags out of the way. "Where to?" Aaron asked, taking one of the bags. Neil held another while the carpenter helped the young man with the third. I'm staying overnight in Lagos. I leave for home tomorrow." "That's great," said Aaron. "We are not decided on where to go yet." "Then better decide quickly. I presume you are Ghanaians." "Yes, we are," said Aaron. Our people are all going to the border. That's why I read in the papers," the young man said. "If you don't mind living in the slum conditions, you may join me. There is very poor sanitation over there and scarcely any water, too." "Never mind," said Neil. They struggled with the heavy bags towards the motorway, stopping for a while to allow traffic to ease before they crossed. They headed towards a lane. "Ngori," said the young man. "That's the name of the place where we are going to, a complete slum area." "Why are all these people on the road carrying bags, mattresses, and all such stuff?" asked the carpenter. The young man stopped and looked at him. "Why, were you staying in the village, brother? So you haven't heard about the alien laws and the 10 days ultimatum? Those people are traveling to their countries." He smiled. I'm Kwaku. You may call me Keke." The carpenter also introduced himself. So did the other two. "Very tired," Keke said. "You shouldn't fear, brother. Feel free. There are many things you will soon learn here. First, we are going to climb onto the Danfo Tankobos trip. They don't stop until at the very last stop. Of course, they slow down at the designated stops on the way. You only have to jump onto one even when it's full. The lorries here can't carry the huge Nigeria population at one go. The buses are always full, so never hope for an empty one. You could swing at the side. They all laughed. The uncle will call the names of the suburbs along the way. When you get to the destination, just walk to the door and jump. KK was blunt, but the statement alarmed his colleagues. Jump from a moving vehicle, Ni exclaimed. We've got to jump. There's no stopping. So cycle yourself up. Several of the yellow painted buses were coming their way, and because there was a traffic jam, the buses slowed down. Remember, you could swing at the side, KK shouted the instruction. The four struggled to get the luggage into one of the buses. For a while, they trotted after the bus. Neil was pestering. He had climbed onto the bus, was watching his friends hang perilously by the side, and urged them on. Soon, they were congratulating themselves. The bus slowed down again after traveling for a kilometer. Neil was dozing. He hit his head against one of the passengers and he awoke with a stare. You don't fool now, the man shouted. Look at you, idiot. Sorry, sir, Neil pleaded. Two passengers got off their seats and proceeded to the door. The man followed them, and soon they disappeared among the crowd. Me and the carpenter took the vacated seat and soon dozed off. It was the voice of KK which brought them to their feet again. They had got to Ngoni and he signaled them to get ready to get off the bus. The bus slowed down and they made their way to the door. Jump, jump! That was KK. You have got to jump or you will be taken far away. Aaron jumped first. His foot missed the edge of the cement platform by the side of the road. He stumbled for a few meters and steadied. Neil watched the platform for a while. Then he jumped with the bag. He landed on his long time watching the bus continue its seemingly endless journey. When the others joined him, he was laughing. The secretary of Amen Christi Church was asleep when Mama arrived at his house because Amen Christi was holding a teaching prayer crusade at Eba. He had closed his watch repairing shop. He led Mama to the front of the apartment. Mama narrated her desire to marry soon. The secretary smiled. The chairman of the church had talked to him about it. He said he was of the opinion that she would contact the pastor. According to the secretary, he disagreed with the chairman because marriage was a private affair in which tribe did not count. What he wanted to know was whether Joe was a Christian, and when Mama said that he did not know, he blamed her. Ibuk, whose position on the Council of Elders had not been confirmed, was the next person Mama contracted. The chairman had been to her house. She said she wholly supported Mama in her choice. Joe, she said, should join Amen Christi because immediately the marriage rite was performed, they would become one flesh, and therefore they should of necessity share the same fate. The doctor was leaving the clinic when he saw the tree walking towards him. He had to make a strong impact at the meeting of the executive of Amen Christi. His countenance changed immediately. He had two charges against Mama. In the first instance, she had failed to attend crusade. In his words, Mama had given everything to Caesar and nothing to God, and the evidence of this was she was marrying outside her own tribe and country and giving into temptation of the flesh, which which he said was sacrilegious. The bridegroom in Ghanaian, he said in a relaxed tone, she is so passionately in love and is therefore prepared to throw our tradition into our faces and walk away. Here is my proposal. I will say it right away without any ill will. Any member of the council who has an alien spouse should make to vacate the position for the good Lord's sake. He wiped sweat from his face. Other ones followed his speech. When the warden spoke, his speech was clearly not for either side. However, he condemned the rash decision of expulsion. There is another thing he said. Mama says she is withdrawing her refunding of the church, which is bad faith. The chairman wanted to qualify the contribution. All these statements are not expected from men of God. The chairman, not satisfied, got up before the wedding could finish his statement. Mama sat, not at all assumed by the discussion, but did not interrupt. What she was sure of was that Ebook and the secretary would stand by her, but she was not sure of the rest. The decision shifted rather unexpectedly to the secretary, who the other blamed for the turn that Mama's marriage affair had taken. You over there, the chairman bluttered. Mama can't use you to destroy cherished tradition. You can't mutilate what the tribe stands for. You see, you got to the secretary simply because of those hot heads. The young ones wouldn't listen to good advice, so they voted for you. A what repair to become secretary. Look at you now. When it matters most, you're simply not up to it. You see, common sense is not common at all. After all, look at you. The doctor felt left out. You see, I weigh issues carefully in order not to sound vindictive. I've always looked out for substance, and each I place where it belongs, pieces by pieces, and then I hook up in a sensible way. Truth by the truth, and for the untruth and useless and senseless, you will know my natural selection. The chaff and the grains. You hear that? The emphasis got the others into a mood of empathy with him and threw half his audience into laughter. That's it. That's it. I think they have got it now. The doctor interrupted his own speech with laughter. What repairs have never been good beyond routine prepare work? He cleared his throat. My training as a doctor exposes me to careful work, analysis of facts, synthesis, like that. We are doomed immediately we leave sensitive issues to just anybody. Ebook shifted in her chair. I'm surprised, she stated, she started, that the church elders could say such words and be so alarmed and emotional merely because one of us is taking a foreigner for a husband. She paused involuntarily, overcome by the circumstance. For some time, no one spoke. Then they contested Ibu's support for Mama. The argument shifted to the determination of the very status of Ibu. She was not a member of the council. Someone moved that the matter be determined there and then. A vote was taken. The result was 4 and 2 against. She was declared the observer only, since her membership of the council had not been endorsed. A second vote was taken to decide whether the church should endorse Mama's marriage to Joe. Mama and the secretary voted for the acceptance of the marriage. The chairman, the doctor, and the pastor voted against it. The warden abstained. A meeting of the council was scheduled to decide the expulsion of Mama for failing to attend the opening ceremony. The meeting was to come off 2 days after the crusade at Eba. The pastor walked to Mama. "We only asking you to be careful, that's all," he said. Mama got up. The secretary and Ibu joined her on their way to Mama's house. None of them spoke. There were 4 airplanes on the tarmac at the Kotoka International Airport, which was besieged by passengers, well-wishers, and relatives of departing passengers. Number 1 counter was checking in passengers of the Accra-London flight number 551 AS. Joe leaned on the bench-seater. It was not yet his turn. The Accra-Lagos flight was second for the night. He walked to the first floor of the airport building and passed to the balcony from where he could look at the planes below. His ticket was all right. He watched over the tarmac closely. The passengers of flight 551 AS were climbing to gangway. Joe did not feel comfortable. Why had the corporal not arrived yet? He had assured him that he would come to the airport to deliver the goods to a new customer who was traveling to Europe. So, where was he when the hour was so late? The sky was clear, but the weather was rather cold. He hated the story he heard on the radio after the dash between Daga operators and the guards in the mines. One of his Daga colleagues, who had escaped from the mines too, told him about Tali's death. The information provided by the radio news indicated that the one shot by the guards was bloodied and sore. He concluded that the guards killed Tali. The news added that the security services were on the alert. Information was also being sought from the public on the whereabouts of the illegal gold dealers. Bay's restaurant proprietor had been picked up at dawn in his house in connection with the illegal gold deals. The third door behind him was open and many people were rushing to the balcony at flight 551 AS got ready to take off. Someone joined him on the balcony. Joe recognized him as a customer. He was keenly observing someone else below. He wanted to leave the country as fast as possible. Many of the passengers were hurrying towards the plane below, making it difficult for him to make out a colleague he was patiently hoping to meet. He was becoming impatient. Then suddenly he saw a figure emerge. "That's him," he muttered. The one he saw was wearing a green shirt, but there was no sign of a corporal. He had wanted to go down and check on what was happening, but was afraid he might be found out and arrested. Many people were joining him on the balcony, cheering and sharing last-minute jokes with departing relatives or friends. Joe kept his vigilance. All was rather tensed by the situation, and occasionally a few airport staff walked by. Then, just as he was about abandoning his game, the corporal came through the main exit to the departure hall, a gun hanging across his chest. He was, however, not far from two other men in dark suits who were following him. The sea breeze blew quietly by. The police corporal stopped to clear his throat, but that brought him ill luck. Joe could not hear the exchanges which soon developed between the corporal and the two men. The plane engine was ripping his ear apart, and the airflow increased in intensity. He could see some commotion arising down below. There was no mistaking the scenario that arose. He quickly something something into it. The security again, he remarked coldly. The face of one of the men was familiar to him. He tried to recollect where he had seen him before. He perched on the railing thoughtfully. Yes, he said to himself as he remembered. Room 6, the gentleman in room 6, Bayman, those the landlord wanted him to assist. The inventors, they were not businessmen as the landlord had alleged. He stood there gravely as if he had seen an apparition. How was the landlord connected with the security? Was it a conspiracy, or was he part of the security chain he wasn't aware of and was being used? How was it that a security outpost got planned in his premises? Bayman of all places closed the heart of Joe's business chain. He contemplated immediately that it was a team plan there to investigate the illegal jam dealing. He remembered what the proprietor had told him once. The whole of Bayman is under security surveillance. It makes sense now. It makes sense now. He paused. But who is? I put it to you. He thought about this. The single name was a threat, and the bat behind a trailed a long thread of security network to track the big Joes and dagger mining team. The landlord may be one of the security operatives. He was sure of it now. He believed it, and he hated the proprietor for that. He realized how close he had come to being arrested. He watched them briefly. One of the men took the corporal guns from him before he could finish sneezing. It seemed that the corporal was being arrested and he was trying to resist arrest, but the men quickly neutralized his resistance to arrest and they collected the black bag he was holding from him. That bag contained gold dust. He was taking it to Lagos. They walked back into the offices below. That gave Joe the signal to run. The security noose was closing fast around his neck and his men. Gold and diamond smuggling was an offense which carried the capital punishment. Joe had heard his statement several times over. It was announced on the radio. The dealings carried it almost daily. He cursed his ill luck. Quietly he slipped through the mass of people on the staircase into the departure hall. Flight 551 AS into the departure hall. Flight 551 AS was getting ready, and the departure formalities at the hall were almost completed. There was two more people behind the counter. Joe checked his name on the manifest, collected his boarding pass, and ascended the staircase. The checks conducted on him at the custom and trade section of the airport took little time. He went out through the exit and walked briskly on the gangway. A middle-aged man in dark suit joined the official. Two passengers in the queue were asked to stand by while their tickets were checked. Joe almost ran back into the hall. When it came to his turn, the man in the dark suit collected his ticket and glanced through it. Soon the microphone carried the echo of the name across the hall. It walked briskly away, indifferent to the call. He heard his name echo in his mind ceaselessly. Joe, Joe, he turned deaf. He had to catch his life slipping from him. He had to keep mute, hear nothing, say nothing, he urged himself. He heard footsteps behind him, and he walked on until someone patted him on his right shoulder. Oroko, Oroko, said a voice behind him. Yes, he exclaimed. You are Oroko, brother, he said. But you did not hear your name. Security wants to see you and it's urgent. What security? Airport security, of course. It's something important, very, very important. I heard you, but why would airport security want to see me? I don't know. Someone pointed you out as you came, and I followed you. Joe stood still. A middle-aged man who spoke to him in a relaxed tone joined them. Are you Oru Ako? What Joe turned out not came by his friendliness. I have been instructed to give you a parcel, the man said, smiling. A parcel? I haven't arranged for any parcel. I'm following orders, came the reply, while the man handed over a parcel to a very perplexed Joe. Joe stole glanced around for any escape route. The airport buildings were all far away now, and round about him were the planes, their engines whining away, and few vehicles either parked or about to be driven away. Aren't you Oroko? The man asked perplexedly. I didn't say I'm not, Joe responded. Room 4B. Yes, and what about that? That parcel is for you. Take it, he said. He was reluctant at first to take the parcel being offered to him, but the man gave him an alternative. No alternative. Unsure and uncompiled, he took the parcel and ran back to the gangway. The belly of the plane was his only hope. He rushed for it. The parcel was heavy, and he wondered what happened in it. The parcel actually seemed to be made up of two wrapped bundles. There was a small envelope on it. He backed off, which had been written in small letters, the inscription, If all things go well. Joe was the last passenger left to board the plane. As he climbed onto the plane, he kept wondering where all this were leading to. When Joe settled in his seat in the plane, he took the marked document and read it. The document gave Joe vital information that Cabinet had given preliminary approval to the Minerals Board to work out modalities for the privatization of mining. The next item in the letter concerned the arrest of the proprietor of Bay's restaurant. The proprietor of Bay's had been arrested and put into cell, but had been let out again. There was not much evidence to connect him to the gold trade. He turned his attention to the larger of the two parcels. He suspected that it contained the diamonds. one of his pastors had gone through afterward. He stretched his legs and tried to relax. He sees his back and sits. His fears disappeared. Thank you so much for listening. So this is where we're going to be ending today's book reading section. Till we meet again in the next session. Thank you and bye bye.